Hello everyone, Mr. Hissner here, and today we are going to be looking at a new topic. This topic is going to be centered around parallel lines. So we are going to be taking notes and just doing a few examples, so make sure you have your notebooks ready, pencil out, and get ready to follow along. So in looking at parallel lines, they have special properties, and I think most of us actually know what parallel lines look like and can probably actually figure out a lot of the properties on our own. So parallel lines, how do we define a parallel line? Well, they look like this. And the notation for parallel lines is a little, let me get my colors here. It is a little arrow on the line. So here, notice there's a little arrow on the line. These two arrows let us know that these are parallel lines. These two arrows in here, that's how we know that these lines are parallel. From the figure. The figure is telling us, hey, these are parallel. That's what those green things are saying. These are parallel. So that's what we are looking at, and we do have some explanations here. These are two lines in the same plane. So these are two lines in the same plane. Obviously, right? Maybe not obviously. So these would be two coplanar lines that do not intersect. So they're in the same field, right? And they never touch. They do not intersect. We said that the arrows are used to indicate that the lines are parallel. Those are those arrows over here that I highlighted right here. And the notation that we would write, how we would say that these two lines are parallel is we would say the line AC, so remember the line not AC, AB is parallel to two large strokes. So just two lines, parallel lines, right? Vertical parallel lines beside each other. That's parallel to CD. The line AB parallel to the line CD. And we can also have parallel planes, although this is something we're not going to pay much attention to. But these would just be planes that don't intersect. Planes that do not intersect. And they would look like this. Again, this is our fancy letter here. So these are planes that do not intersect. And that's what they look like. And again, we have something that's called skew lines. Skew lines. So these are lines that exist in a figure. Hey, this one might be, there we go. These are skew lines. So these are lines that exist in the figure, and they do not intersect, but they are not in the same plane. So let's just look. Okay, so you would notice that there's, this is a cube, and there's 6 faces. You can think of a plane as a face, right? So let's say, for example, we have, let's take this line TP, right here, and let's take another one. No, we'll leave it like that. Let's take another one over here. Let's take QR. Okay, so now notice the face of the figure that TP exists on is this one back here, right? And then the face that the other one exists on is this one back here, right? And if we extend these line segments, let's just extend them a little bit more. Even though it looks like they would touch, what's happening here is that this line is actually going to be behind this line. right? So this line, the pink line, TP extended, is going to be behind it, right? Because it's on a different face. It's on a different face, and so they're on two separate planes, right? These planes are parallel, and so these lines, although they are not parallel, they're on a different plane, so they're not parallel, and they never touch. So those are what we call skew. Don't get too worried about these. We don't spend much time on skew lines. What our focus here is parallel lines. This is what we came for, right? Parallel lines is the name of the game here. That's what we're going to be paying most attention to. So this first bit of information is going to be the most important that you understand. The notation, the ideas, they never touch. They're in the same plane. All right, so let's look at just some example. What we want to find all segments parallel to AE. So I'm just going to zoom in here, and I'm going to find AE. Here it is. So I'm just going to make it a little. So I want to know what segments are parallel to AE. Well, it looks like these two are in the same plane, and they will never touch, right? So how about DH? So we have DH, the segment DH, and we also have, let me just move this around, FB, because this is the plane here. This is another face. It's this front face that it's sharing. So FB. DH, and then what? And then this one over here. Really, I mean, these are parallel, right? These are because, yeah, these are definitely parallel. So GC as well. I mean, and parallel lines, they're pretty obvious. They're easy to spot. They're clearly all going in the same direction, and they're never going to touch. Like, I'm highlighting these pieces, these segments, and these are all obviously parallel. So let's do GC. So these are our parallel line segments. Parallel planes, I'm not too worried about. Again, let's look down here. It says all segments parallel to JK. And we're not talking about the LOL. So let's look at all segments parallel to JK. For real. Okay, so again, what I'm going to be doing is just kind of moving my piece around. Okay, that's not parallel. This is not parallel. Right, so all these around the side here are clearly not parallel. What about OP? Not yet. Notice, same face, same direction, never intersecting. These two segments are clearly parallel. So actually, we only have one parallel segment here, and it is OP. Let's see, the next one is NS. NS. So let me just move my segment to N and over to S. Let's take a closer look. So here's NS, right? And what do we want to do? Well, let's find some parallel segments. Hey, it looks like there's a bunch of them. It looks like JO, KP, LQ, MR. Do you see that? Like if you just take your pencil and just kind of look for the parallel lines, they're easy to see. Like for me, it's just pretty obvious, right? So yeah, which ones are? Well, it's clearly all the ones that will never touch, going in the same direction, same face, never touching. So here we go. We have 4 of them, it looks like. So let's see, what were they? Let me get this out of the way. It was JO, KP, LQ, and MR. And these are all segments, right? And what I want to do is just look at the last one, just so you know what's not parallel. So skew is not parallel. So again, it's not something I'm going to be too keen on, but it's interesting to see. So here's RQ. One skew line to RQ would be you got to go like far away from it and in the opposite direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go far away from it and in the opposite direction. So what about JO? Right? These two lines will clearly never touch. This one is above, this one is below. So as they extend, as these lines would extend, right, what would happen is that actually, let me bring this one to the front because RQ is going to be in front of him. RQ is going to be in front. Bring forward. So that's what it would look like. That RQ is actually, they're not intersecting. In fact, that one's sliding under. It's sliding under RQ. RQ is above that line, right? And so we can see it just kind of sliding right under it out into infinity. So that's what skew would look like. And again, I'm not too big on skew lines, but it's nice to kind of get that idea of never intersecting, but also not parallel. That's what I got. Thanks for watching, guys.